It's the Gauntlet. Let's go.
If you smell what the Gauntlet is cooking.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Gauntlet Podcast, where we talk about everything that's going on in NFL with the fun way, the way it should be, the way friends should do it. So, we got a whole lot of stuff to talk about, but I just can't. I can't start the show without at least saying a little bit about some of the events that occurred this week. Because while I love to, talk about everything sports and have fun, sometimes if you have a platform like the one that I'm blessed to have, you have to use it for good. And that's what I'm doing. So obviously, it was tragic what happened this week with, all the kids and the teachers that lost their lives in the school shooting that happened in Texas. So obviously, heart goes out to them. But more importantly, we need change and we need leadership. And this stuff just cannot continue anymore. It cannot. It's the same stuff. It's like a never-ending cycle of violence and people losing their lives. So honestly, I just really want to see somebody that's in a position that can make a change, go out of their comfort zone a little bit and try to do something to just address the issue. But with that being said, guys, we're going to go ahead and get this show started now. We got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. We got Detroit Dom in the building, and we got JJ in the building. What's going on, gentlemen? How you guys doing tonight?
Good, man.
Great.
Good. Happy
Awesome.
holiday week. Happy holiday weekend, everyone.
Yes. Happy Memorial Day. So hopefully you guys are, cooking up something good for the cookout. So let's go ahead and start the show just like we normally do, guys. Sports Morons of the week. So I'm going to go ahead and kick us off because my sports moron of the week is, without a doubt, Mr. Christopher Sims, who is the son of Philip Sims, former quarterback of the Giants and color commentator with NFL on CBS. He was also briefly in the NFL, but he was terrible, so it's not really even worth mentioning.
Ruptured spleen.
This guy is such a freaking clown that he got up on national TV on his little show, and first of all, he ranked Jalen Hurts as the 25th ranked quarterback in the league, which is unacceptable, especially given the guys that he had ranked ahead of Jalen. So, first of all, Daniel Jones, this guy's a terrible quarterback. This guy trips over his own feet. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's an absolute bum. And you have him over Jalen Hurts, who clearly outplayed him. Justin Fields, who he clearly outplayed. He outplayed like most of the guys that he had ranked in front of him. He outplayed him. Second of all, not only that, to make matters worse, he also got on TV and put Lamar Jackson on blast as well for saying, well, Tom Brady wasn't selfish and Lamar's selfish because he won't attend the voluntary workouts. And Lamar also put him on blast on Twitter for doing so. So, I just don't understand why NBC Sports continues to give Chris Sims airtime when most of his opinions are trash. And majority of the time, he doesn't even know what he's saying. So, Chris Sims is the sports moron of the week.
Wow.
Joseph, you want to go next?
Wow, that was a lot to say. Okay. I don't really have a moron of the week, so to speak. in that regard. But, Chris is Chris. It seems like when he talks about Jalen Hurts, that's what sparks that flame right there. And in regards to Lamar Jackson, now, if you don't know what's going on with the man, if you're not actually in his life 24/7, so how are you really knowing what's going on? And they're voluntary OTAs, and I think Lamar has definitely established himself enough to not have to be held under that spectrum where he has to be there to continue to progress as a quarterback. He was working out. Chris, Lamar's just, as you see, Lamar's getting older, and Lamar's clapping back. Lamar is out here definitely doing his thing, and he ain't tripping.
Absolutely, and thank you guys to anyone that's in the comment section, and I definitely appreciate all the support here. What's going on, Will? What's going on, Jen, Jahan, and what's going on, Jay? Thank you guys for watching. So, while we're waiting on Dom to get back, if he has a sports moron, we'll come back to him on that. But we're going to go ahead and get into some NFL news for you guys, some NFL headlines. So first of all, we have Mr. Dan Snyder, who's obviously been under fire for a number of years. Everyone who follows the NFL, even if you only follow the NFL a little bit, it's really not too much of a stretch to say Dan Snyder is arguably the shadiest person in the entire NFL. This guy has a history of doing things that are messed up, whether it's, in the workplace, sexual harassment, faking wages. He's just a highly shady individual. And according to some sources that are close to the situation, they have said that a lot of the owners are getting fed up with Dan Snyder and what he's trying to do and the things that he continues to involve himself in. So the owners had a meeting and they're discussing, trying to get Dan Snyder out of the league. And, this is a tricky situation because, there could be some antitrust laws that Dan Snyder is going to try to use for his advantage because, people are trying to gang up on him and get him to sell his business. So he's gonna probably try to do something in that regard. The other thing that's worth mentioning is the magic number for this is 24. So 24 out of 32 owners are going to have to vote in favor of it, or it's probably not going to happen. And with that being said, that's like 75% of the league would have to vote in favor of it. And I don't think that that's going to happen, just because I don't think that a lot of these owners want the same energy brought to them and have them forced to sell their team in the future. Because I kind of think what we're looking at is possibly some kind of a domino effect here. And the NFL is full of shady people. They may not be as shady as Mr. Dan Snyder, but they are still very, very shady nonetheless. There's no question about it. So I don't think they want to step out of their comfort zone and do the right thing because they don't want to be held to the same fire in the future. So it's a very, very tricky situation, and I don't think anything's going to happen. But there's no question, Dan Snyder, one of the shadiest people in the National Football League.
I don't necessarily think it's the NFL is afraid of them possibly being thrown in the fire. I think it's the fact of the matter the NFL owners are afraid that they'll go down with him because he's not a dumb dude. He may be a brat, he may be a baby, he may be somebody, but two things that dude knows: he knows how to get money, and he knows how to secure his money. So it's going to be a little bit different with him. But however, this is part of the growing pains when you're trying to change a culture of a league and how it's kind of been portrayed. And so if you start with the concept of really getting rid of these owners that aren't really for its players or for people and for conduct, you're going to have to go through some stuff, which is incoming with Dan Snyder. And so I did talk to a couple former NFL players in my time over the years, and one of them in particular was a Washington player that's pretty much confirming everything that's being said about him. But at the end of the day, Dan, if you look at his over the course of his life, the man has always got several situations of showing that he's just a dude that has money. He doesn't have any, morale to him, because by default, any of these high-powered, power-as-be type gentlemen, there's a sense of entitlement, a sense of above-you personality that comes around them just from the sense of the power that they have. The only problem is some of them still have their balance of trying to be still morale and know when to hold and know when to fold. And Dan Snyder, he don't care about folding because he's going to continue doing him. But I think the NFL sees, for the stance that he had on changing the name of the Redskins, because they have been trying to change the name for like decades. And then there were so many situations that he has shown that he didn't care. But now that they seen that he got a chance to, change his name and he was pushed that way, I think the NFL is trying to see how far they can push him. But I don't know if it's going to be the type of fight that they want, because he's not going to go down willingly. But he is involved and he is shady.
Jay says the NBA got it right over the NFL once again. Donald Sterling was ousted for racism immediately, and it took all this to nail Daniel Snyder. And you know what? You know what? Jay brings up a point.
I think Jay's point is correct in a certain sense. But
I
don't think it applies.
They're not even. I don't think they're nailing him at all.
But
that's the problem.
Video of him or any physical audio of him saying these things. These are things that just are being heard about. You had the video and you had the audio, and that's what really ultimately nailed Donald Sterling to the cross.
The problem with it, Jay, is that there's a bunch of the NFL is just it's hard to put into words, but there's a lot of people that are in the NFL as far as owners. A lot of them are cut from the same cloth, like Daniel Snyder is. There's a lot of shady people. There's a lot of people that are racist. Like, obviously, Jay knows this as he's a Houston fan. Their owner, before he passed away, said something along the lines of like, we can't have slaves running the plantation. Like, these guys don't care about the players. They don't, and they never have. They care about making money. So they don't care about, being viewed as, these great people or their reputation or whatever. There's a lot of shady people in the NFL, which is why I think some of these guys, or not enough of these guys, are going to, say it's enough is enough. Some of these guys are going to be backing up Daniel Snyder because they don't want the same thing that happened to him, which goes back to my original point.
Remember that Major League Football, NFL is an American sport mainly, but the NBA is global. So when you do certain things that could affect not just people in the country, but also a demographic or a race outside that also affects your business, it's the reason why the NFL can feel like they can double down on these type of issues, because the people that are fueling the NFL mainly are in the United States of America. The people that really aid in helping the global development of the NBA outside as well. So when Donald Sterling had his comments, you're not only having the entire country focus on you, you got the world focusing on you. The world focuses on NFL, but at the same time, it's really just an American sport. It's not the most affected in terms of a global scale. So it's always a little bit different, and why they actually going to be a little bit more traditional American compared to the NBA. The NBA is more global and it's more impacting because it touches way more people on a consistent basis than the NFL does. So NFL going to be traditional boys from back in the 1950s, 60s, still going on. And the thing with Dan Snyder is Dan Snyder was like the fourth richest owner in the NFL. He's brought them a ton of money as well. So get rid of him. You're going to have to make sure what you're going to bring back in is going to give just as much money as that dude does.
At the end of the day, it comes down to the NFL just has really poor leadership. But Dom, what are your thoughts on the whole situation revolving around Dan Snyder?
It's Dan Snyder. I've never kept my feelings a secret about him. He's if it's not James Dolan, it's Dan Snyder is the worst owner in all of professional sports. Like, he's a scumbag. He's a rich scumbag. And like I said, the owner's box in the NFL, it's the Billionaire Boys Club. It's a fraternity. And if they're going to roll, like he already rolled on John Gruden, he released 5 of those 15,000 emails. What's in the other 14,995? That's what I want to know. If he goes down, he's going to take a lot of people with him. A lot. Or he's going to try.
He don't get that
Yeah.
without having
But I mean, it's,
those
you
things.
know, what NFL, you know, you'd be more hard pressed to name me an NFL owner that isn't old, white,
Plus,
rich, and racist.
Right. The rise to corporate fame is also built on having these relationships that could take somebody down if something goes wrong.
Yeah, I'm sure Dan Snyder is not the only person. I mean, I'm sure if you looked in Jerry Jones' history, he probably has some stuff as well. There's a lot of guys that has dirt on them.
But that's
and
they're sorry to cut you off on that. But
no, you're good.
But that's why I say that they're coming after Dan Snyder, because of all the people that changed their teams, Kansas City ain't changing the Chief, but they're sitting there changing the Redskin, even though both of them had kind of been regarded the same way in a different man. But it continued going on.
Right.
Because he changed it, the NFL might be looking like, oh, you're cracking right now. So if we push you and go in the names of the cancel culture or this society where the world is now, we may have you break. And to be honest with you, in terms of all of the NFL teams and talent, you don't know football anyway, so your teams are always porous. So we know that if we get somebody else that could possibly come in there to help it build a team, we may get the money.
Uh-huh.
But if you go, Dan ain't going down with the fight. And he didn't make it this far without stepping over some people's toes and going through some backdoor deals. So trust and believe, he's going to be like, if you really want to come this way, come this way. We're going to see.
And shout out to Grizz, the homie, the friend of the show and friend of mine. He says, if Snyder gets forced out, y'all don't understand how much of a celebratory mood I will be in. To hell with him and that franchise and that ratchet ass stadium. Absolutely, man. Like, yeah, Grizz hates Dan Snyder. Dan Snyder, he's a terrible person. I would love to see him out of the NFL, but at the same time, he's the reason why Washington, it's just like you said, JJ, they continue to be a garbage team and a garbage organization because of him. So if he stays, I won't be that mad. But, you know, from an unbiased perspective, the guy, he's trash. He's a terrible, terrible person, and he needs to be gone. But probably ain't going to happen because not enough of these owners are going to be willing to do that because, like I said, they're scared that they're going to go down with him.
Yeah,
like pretty much like what you guys brought up.
It takes 24 votes to vote him out, and even though it's supposed to be anonymous, I promise you, Dan Snyder will get that list of the 24 or more who voted yes.
Come right around.
I don't think it'll get to 24 though. I don't think 24 owners are gonna be willing to do that.
I don't understand how.
What's up, Reaper?
I'm familiar with the the idea of voting an owner out, but I don't understand if it's like when the Expos got absorbed by the rest of Major League Baseball. Like, I don't know if the rest of the teams run that team together or they just force the sale. I mean, I'm pretty sure if you get voted out like Sterling, like, you got to sell the team. But I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. I wanted that to happen in Detroit for most of my life.
I'm sure, man. And you know what? I don't really think anything's going to happen, guys. It'll be interesting to see how the investigation plays out with all the sexual harassment and all the stuff that Snyder has done. But anyway, guys, we got some more topics to get to. Next up, we're going to go to some NFL news that happened this week regarding the Pro Bowl. So obviously, we all know that the Pro Bowl is pretty much a joke. It's pretty much an embarrassment to watch every single week. And I don't even think, I don't know about you guys, but I don't watch the Pro Bowl. I haven't watched the Pro Bowl in I can't even remember the last Pro Bowl that I honest to God can't remember the last time I sat down and watched a Pro Bowl. That's how bad it is. I see the highlights and, these guys aren't even trying because why should they? The season's over. They're not going to try to hit people because, somebody could get hurt. They're not, they're not going to risk getting a serious injury in a meaningless Pro Bowl game that no one watches. And the main reason the NFL had a meeting this week discussing other possible options for the Pro Bowl to replace it is because the Pro Bowl had its worst overall viewership in I don't know how many years. It was historically bad. I think it was around the worst Pro Bowl viewership in 15 years or something. So the Pro Bowl is garbage. It's a joke. It's pointless. nobody really enjoys watching it. So the NFL has brought up some good options to replace it, according to Ian Rappaport anyway. He says that they're considering doing like a 7-on-7 type of thing, a flag football type of thing. You know what? That's pretty much what it is already. I mean, it's pretty much a glorified flag football, so you might as well just make it an actual flag football and, run with it. Maybe it could be interesting, but as a whole, the Pro Bowl is probably the worst all-star game between the four major sports. So I honestly really won't care if the Pro Bowl never sees the light of day again.
I think the problem is twofold. I think the problem is on the NFL and problem is on the fans' expectation of what this game is, to be very honest with you. Because the whole point of the Pro Bowl is just to award the best players in the game at that particular year. And the problem that most fans have with it is that they don't always put what they feel are the best players in the game. So I think if they want to work on trying to change it, because all the options that they're giving is pretty much not changing what the Pro Bowl is. If you really try to say change the Pro Bowl, you got to change it entirely, not just by the way they're doing it. But again, that's not why the Pro Bowl was here. The Pro Bowl was originally created to have these players get rewarded for their efforts, and they just have a fun game. It's fun. It's not meant to be super competitive like that. They were like that before, but when we started seeing how the injuries affected them in the long haul, naturally you're going to change it up. But the basis of what it is still why I actually love it. I've watched the Pro Bowl. I don't really have too much issue with it because I look at the Pro Bowl as seeing the best of that particular year playing. If they can somehow get it back to right, because no disrespect to your Philadelphia Eagles, the way Miles Sanders got promoted Pro Bowl, I believe, was because of a Madden tournament won. That is a problem. If you're going to put somebody in as why they deserve it, because that's how it's intended. I agree with having it there, honestly, and I don't think it's an issue. They have been doing everything for player safety. What is the difference between people complaining about the NBA all the dang time? It's the same thing, but the NBA is still thriving. I think people's mentality, you can't change this until one, the NFL reassess how they put these people into the Pro Bowl, and fans' expectations have to kind of go back to how it was before. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, they could, like, it's cool, I guess, to have fans be allowed to vote for the Pro Bowl, but honestly, like, just get rid of the Pro Bowl game, get rid of
honestly,
voting,
have
it all pro, and that's it. And like Jay was saying, maybe if they switched back to having it the week after the Super Bowl, that won't work either because it was the week after the Super Bowl, no one would watch it, so they moved it before the Super Bowl, hoping people would watch it, and now no one wants to play in it.
And
watch it.
It's hard to take it out because it's
that's also a great. Yeah, go ahead.
You didn't
part of the assessment that assesses some of these players to get into the Hall of Fame. So if you take it out completely, you're taking out a huge chunk of a person's resume that is being considered for Hall of Fame consideration.
They moved it from Hawaii to Orlando.
Oh, I mean,
and not like no one gives a crap about going to Orlando. Every NFL player, even the rookies, they've all been to Orlando.
I mean, the Pro Bowl being, as far as what you just said, JJ, I don't feel like the Pro Bowl should be a huge evaluation of, players getting into the Hall of Fame because the Pro Bowl is a popularity contest. I mean, for crying out loud, Mac Jones went to the Pro Bowl basically because nobody wanted to go. He basically went because he was available. So I think when you're judging Hall of Fame standards, being all pro, being one of the best 22 players of your position holds a lot more weight than something like the Pro Bowl that's just merely a popularity contest.
Fans' unfortunate expectation of this has watered down this. Fans are the real reason why the Pro Bowl is lessened is because they wanted aggression in a game that was meant to be fun. And then what happens is the injuries start trickle down effects. So these players have been like, you know what? I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. If fans have continued to revert back to the Pro Bowl being about recognizing who was the best player, just leave it at that. Don't expect.
That's a good point, Grizz.
Leave it at that. And the reason why Pro Bowl was consideration into the Hall of Fame is because the Hall of Fame is mounted of people that is composed
of East Side Monster.
How the Hall of Fame is composed of people that were assessing these players from the inception where the Pro Bowl actually mattered based off of their career resume. Those people are still voting. Because if you really just go based off all pros, you're going to have some of the best players in the world have no, but maybe 1 or 2 all pros. And if you go based off that assessment, that player might be left out when they really should. Fans have to change their whole thinking on why the Pro Bowl is even considered what it is. It's the best professional players of that year. And if you honestly take that an objective view, you could look back and maybe feel 1 or 2 people were really not supposed to be there. But for the most part, the best of the best made it.
I mean, yeah, I really don't agree with that at all. I think that the Pro Bowl is what it is. It's, it's really not holding too much weight.
The other thing that also bothers me, like the fact that it's fan vote. So it's the people that the fans vote in, but it's like
and there's a lot of great players that don't get voted to the Pro Bowl.
And no one's watching the game on TV. Like, I don't even vote for the Pro Bowl because I mean, either, and it's.
But that's to your point, Dom. That's ridiculous. How y'all? I'll say to your point, that's ridiculous because like I'm looking at fans like y'all voted them in, but y'all don't want to watch them play. That makes no sense.
I mean, the Pro Bowl's full of crap. That's what it is. It's full of crap.
Fans have seen that crap.
We've seen. Yeah, I'm not saying who's to blame for it. It's partially on the fans, so you're partially right. But I mean, how many times have we seen a player get voted to the All-Pro team, but don't make the Pro Bowl? I mean, shout out to Jason Kelsey on my Philadelphia Eagles. He's been one of the best centers in the league for years now. And I can remember there was a season where he got the first team All-Pro and he didn't get the Pro Bowl. So I was just like, do you really expect me to take this seriously since you have a guy that's voted as one of the best 22 players of his position and he doesn't get to the Pro Bowl? And I'm just like, that's the moment that I was just like, you know what? The Pro Bowl's full of crap. So anyone saying, oh, this guy got 20 Pro Bowl selections, I really don't care about that because it doesn't hold as much weight as an All-Pro. That's why I hold All-Pros at a much higher standard than I do a Pro Bowl. And I think everyone should.
Hall of Fame voters don't. They vote them pretty much the same. If you know.
These are the same Hall of Fame voters that didn't think Terrell Owens was a first ballot. The voters are also full of crap. So
fans thinking somebody like Michael Vick deserves to be a Pro Bowler, and I'm a Hall of Famer, and he's not.
Why are you hating on Michael Vick when he's the player of the week, bro?
Both sides don't get it right. Were they wrong because Terrell Owens had a little attitude towards them? Yes, but did he still get in? Yes, I think it would be more worse. If
he should have been first ballot, though, no question.
You thought it was that bad. Look at Art Monk's career, who should have probably been in maybe 15 years before he actually got in. And he was considered the best receiver of his time until Jerry Rice and Sterling Sharp came along. So it's like there's mistakes on both sides.
Better than Art Monk, and he's not in.
Appreciate you tuning in, Sam. Yeah, go Birds. Okay, guys. So next up, Colin Kaepernick once again gets a tryout for another team. This time it's the Raiders. The Raiders are reportedly saying they were very impressed by Mr. Colin Kaepernick's workout, and they're going to remain in contact with him. My immediate reaction to this was 2 things. The first thing was, this is a joke. This is a joke. It's embarrassing, and it's a major PR move by the Raiders. They're basically seeing that the NFL is being viewed as, it's kind of like the Rooney Rule, which is kind of blatantly racist. They're making African Americans, basically like a token, and it's disrespectful. So they're bringing in Colin Kaepernick, saying they're interested in him and all that, just like the Seattle Seahawks did not long ago. And they're just doing it to say, hey, see, we're not racist. The NFL is not racist. See, guys? And then they're probably literally never going to call him again. The other thing is, at the same time, Kaepernick has had opportunities for tryouts. He's had opportunities. And you know what? This guy doesn't seem to really have too much interest of being back in the NFL after his many long years of a hiatus. Does he really want to come back? He's a social justice person. That's who he is. And you know what? I'm not taking anything away from him for that. But, do you really want to be back in the NFL? If you do, then I think that you should obviously take the tryouts seriously. But overall, I think it's just total embarrassment by the NFL. These teams continue to do this stuff for PR, which makes it even worse, and it makes it even more of a joke. So those were my immediate thoughts and reaction to the whole Colin Kaepernick working out with the Raiders. Is he going to sign? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
Interesting. When was the last time he played? What year?
2015, 2016?
No, like 16, 17, right after the whole.
Okay, let's say 16. Tell me any other former NFL quarterback that's still getting tryouts 6 years after he last played. My guess is, and it kind of clicked in with me. And
I just don't think he's a very good quarterback.
But
it doesn't change that the end of these teams are pretty much making a joke out of it.
Dan Snyder roll on, and supposedly about racist and misogynist things. John Gruden. I bet you all roads lead to Mark Davis. So Mark Davis was like, bring Kaepernick in for a tryout. Then when Dan Snyder gets to squealing about other people being racist, Mark Davis will be like, I'm not racist. I brought in Colin Kaepernick for a tryout.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
But I have to say,
it's a joke.
I address the comment that's being made here because I think that's the issue for a lot of fans in this whole situation. I think that question right there is why you don't see Colin Kaepernick take it seriously. You just said it. It's a PR move. He ain't stupid. He sees right through it. He sees why he's being called by the Raiders because of what Dom just said. Mark Davis is trying to basically, this whole thing is, I'm not racist. I just wanted a black quarterback to try out. Are you sitting there going to tell me he's going to take Derek Carr's place? Because why would you bring him back here? Number two, Colin Kaepernick has no issue really with playing in the NFL if he trusted the NFLPA. His issue is not about it being slavery on occasions. It's about the NFLPA backing down from that as opposed to continuing the fight, which is what they glossed over. That was always Kaepernick's issue with the NFL. It had nothing to do about going back to a team. He knew he was going to go back to some crap, but he wanted to come back knowing the NFLPA, like Malcolm Jenkins, who he didn't like Eric Reed, who has his back. He wanted people in there that he felt like if there was another social injustice situation happening with, like the Buffalo situation, how are y'all going to respond? How are you guys going to show up? So no, it's nothing to do with the NFL and the slavery part. It's about the people in the organization that do have power to push back and fight for change that aren't doing it. He doesn't trust the NFLPA more than he trusts the NFL. And that's why he doesn't really care about coming back. If you're not giving that, it's not, because the way they handled that situation when he got kicked out the league was 100% BS, because y'all promised things to this dude as part of the goal of social justice, and then you backed down when it came time to really put up with it. Period.
It's true. All right, guys. So that wraps it up for all the NFL headlines and stuff. So now we're going to get into our player of the week. Michael Vick is our player of the week for this week. Obviously, JJ just said that, he's not a Hall of Famer and all this other stuff. I also don't really think he's in the Hall of Famer because you can't put everybody in the Hall of Fame. Was he a good quarterback? Was he fun to watch? Was he electrifying? Yes, he was. But, when he went to prison, that was kind of part of the prime part of his career. So, he wasted some time in prison for his involvement with, having the dog fighting going on, at his property and being a part of that, which definitely wasn't a good thing as an animal lover. But Michael, he did make a little bit of a turnaround after he left prison, coming to Philly. Working with Andy Reid, I think was an opportunity for him to kind of get right back on the right track, get a second chance. And I think Michael Vick, he did his time he paid his dues for society, and that's it. I think that I don't think he's a bad person at all. I think that he needed another chance. He got another chance. And with the Eagles, I just remember seeing him, lead that comeback against the New York Giants in 2010. It was a great performance. Vic had a great season with us that year. But he was electric. He just didn't take the game seriously enough. He didn't watch film. He didn't have a great work ethic, which is really sad because it held him back because, he obviously had a cannon for an arm, but he couldn't really put it together consistently enough. He wasn't very accurate passing the ball, which really held him back because poor work ethic, not watching film, not doing all the right things that you need to do to be great.
Oh, so Cam Newton.
Kind of.
Oh,
But he's not. I don't think he's as bad as Cam. Like, at least he wasn't dressing like a freaking grandma at church.
He did also say poor accuracy.
It's his style. Cam does his style. That's what it is. It wasn't no different from Dennis Rodman looking the way he was looking, doing his dang thing. The only difference is Dennis Rodman was impacting teams winning championships. Cam Styles. In terms of Michael Vick, my brother and I had a long conversation about this before, and I think my brother realized where his errors were in because of Michael Vick and his own career. They both my brother and Michael Vick relied on their God-given ability because it was beyond exceptional throughout the entire life. When you are considered the fastest man on the field, people look at speed as excitement. People look at speed as glorious, wondrous. And so when you've had that for your entire life, you don't feel like you have to pretty much work on other things. And it's like that was the area just with Michael Vick. Michael Vick had all the tools to really become a dynamic player, particularly what we're about to see Lamar Jackson become in the career that he's about to have. That could have been Michael Vick, because you showed that when you finally put the work to it, which is what he did, and he came back, he started to change. The only problem is it was too little too late, because after he had that great 6 or 7 game stretch, which started off with the touchdown bomb to Deshaun Jackson against the Washington Redskins on Monday night, when it came time to I think Philly kind of did it wrong a little bit by turning this dream team around him, as opposed to not realizing he built that great, big, amazing 6 game stretch with the players that they had there. And I think they built this team to try to turn it into something else. But if he had kept that team, he was getting into rhythm with them because he finished the season off better than he did before. Great guy. One of my favorite plays, of course, was splitting the defenders of the Minnesota Vikings, going in. He was always that guy that was just the fastest guy on the court. Court and field, just was leaving it at that. But the guy, the person, the great dude, loved the guy to death. Definitely, just because how he speaks when he's on TV, his mindset, his perspective, his ability to reflect and realize that he left a lot of things to be desired as a player for his own particular.
What's going on, John?
And so, I like Michael Vick. Of course, my quarterback gets compared to him like completely, but I like if the player, the person that Michael Vick has become is part of like looking back and reflecting. I always want Lamar to be compared to him and be like, look, always look back and reflect and realize that you can be better.
Well, Lamar's he's gonna when he retires, if he's not already viewed as that, I think Lamar's a better version of Michael Vick. I think he's a better passer. I think he's a better leader. I think he has a better work ethic. I think he's just better. I mean, he also has a league MVP to boot, and he's still very young. So I understand the comparison, but I think Lamar's. I think he's better than Vick. Just my opinion, though. Dom, what you think about Mike Vick?
Honestly, in some ways, his career kind of reminds me a lot of Mike Tyson, just based off lost the best years of his career in prison. Did something. I mean, obviously, you can't compare. I mean, you can't directly compare, dog fighting to sexual battery or rape, but it definitely, goes without saying, it changed people's opinions about both of them greatly.
Yeah.
And, it was a black mark on both of their careers, and you're talking about 2 guys that were both phenoms and could have been 2 of the all-time greats in their respective sports, and now they're just. It's a shame, but I don't like you said. I don't think Mike Vick's a bad guy. I don't think Mike Tyson is a bad guy. They just, people when they're young and they have that much success and that much money and that much fame when they're that young, and if they don't have the right guidance and people in place, like you make bad decisions and you think you're bulletproof, and then next thing you know, you end up in prison, and I mean, it didn't out ruin both of their careers, but it definitely hampered for a few years. But
It's kind of like what Grizz said earlier. I think that when Vic was in prison for that amount of time, it kind of messed up the potential for him to have a better resume. And, that's probably one of the things. That's not the only reason he's not going to be in the Hall of Fame. The main reason is, when he was with Atlanta, he just didn't have the work ethic. He didn't have good leadership.
right,
He didn't carry himself. He didn't carry himself the way that he should have carried himself. And, the guy just didn't watch film. That's probably the worst and most frustrating thing about him was he had all the physical traits and tools to be really good, and he just didn't take it seriously because it's like what JJ said, he relies on his speed and his athletic ability.
I think Dom made a great point about the comparison to Mike Tyson. It's like, how when we're young and we're coming up, we maybe start going down the path, and then you have that conversation with somebody who's trying to help them get back on the path, and somebody says, you know what? Sometimes they just have to fall, and then they have to figure out how to get back up. The only issue with their situation is falling meant going to prison. Like if Michael got cut from a team that really said, you know what, we know you good, but we think you're not worth it to make it here. That might have been able, he would have had to still able to really get in that offseason, work himself together, and he might have had a better career. The problem with his failure, unfortunately, meant him being in jail. And it snapped him out and realized, you know what, I got to be better. I thought of myself as this above person that can't be touched, and I was touched. And now I got to come back. That's what happened with him, because if he turned it to him, it was all about trajectory. And then I think it would have given him time, because at that time, we weren't really living in a microwave society for football where you had a little bit more than a year or 2 years to figure it out. You had about 3 or 4. So based on what you saw in Philly, if he got that bump in like 2005, 2006, remember, he signed I think $100 million contract before.
Yeah, it was a contract at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
if he had that happen and that offseason he had to work himself back, he would have had the couple years with whatever team he got on around 07, 08. By 09, 10, and 11, Mike Vick might have lasted and been one of the best quarterbacks like they thought he would have been when he came in.
Here's the thing I want to say about that. Because I know what everyone's saying about Michael Vick when he came to Philly, like how much he was a different player. I think that, and I like Michael Vick, but I ain't going to give him too much credit. Because I think what we saw with Michael Vick in terms of playing the quarterback position in a completely different way than what he did, kind of like what Jay said about playing street ball, I think we got to give a lot of credit, or we got to give more credit to Andy Reid for that turnaround. Because I don't think it has much to do with Michael Vick, if I'm being completely real with you. I think that when you look at what Andy Reid has done as a coach, he has coached many different styles of quarterbacks, all the way up from Jeff Garcia, Donovan McNabb, Kevin Kolb, Michael Vick. He's coached all these different quarterbacks, and he's had success. Alex Smith, doesn't matter what quarterbacks that you give him, he's going to have success, and he's going to win double-digit games no matter what. And now that he has an all-world talent like Patrick Mahomes, you see how great of a coach that he truly is. So I feel like Andy Reid had a lot to do with the evolution of Michael Vick becoming a better passer in Philadelphia.
He wouldn't have been able to if Mike wasn't prepared to put the work in that needed to based off what Andy wanted and expected from him as well. Like you can give credit to Andy for sure, and no one actually is not saying that. But look at Matt Moore.
If he had a different coach, I don't think he would have had that turnaround as a passer, is what I'm saying.
For sure, because one thing I have learned in my life, and I view that and embody it within me, is that I never give a guy who finally figured it out to realize to put the time in, to keep the humility, to keep the drive, a chance at not succeeding. Would he have been what he got turned into with Andy Reid? Possibly not. But would he still had a chance to maybe still make some headway? Yes, because all the people that you mentioned that Andy Reid has really been successful with has had that drive outside of the obvious one, Mr. Don McNabb, who was probably the most talented quarterback that he's ever had, just didn't have the work ethic the way that the other ones had or had to be.
Other than Mahomes, of course.
Well, Mahomes is, I meant to say greatest Philly, quarterback that he had. But I mean, I think Vic Reed has a lot of credit. I think the reason why Reed took a chance on this because he saw the man that he had become and knew that he was going to do what he needed to do. I don't know what time did Andy Reid leave you guys, but I think Chip Kelly came in like
2013.
2013. And so right after like that whole situation, I mean, Mike Vick time was pretty much cut out because right after he got canned or he was lackluster.
Well, Nick Foles took over for him because in 2013 was when Michael Vick had the injury and Nick Foles, he had the great season, the 27 touchdowns and 2 picks. But, just not only for Michael Vick, I also think that's the case for Donovan McNabb. If Donovan McNabb had been drafted by another team with a coach that wasn't Andy Reid, I also don't think Donovan McNabb would have had the same success that he had. So I think that Andy Reid is just a quarterback whisperer at the end of the day. But that's a completely different argument. And Grizz also says McNabb had a great work ethic when it came to puking on the field. You can't teach that skill. No, you cannot, especially in the Super Bowl when the game's on the line. So, guys, let's get to our non-sports topic now. So I'm going to pull up a graphic here in a second of a bunch of different video game franchises. So what we're going to do for this is we're going to choose one video game for each row. There's multiple different rows to choose from. So without further ado, let's get to it. McNabb, he hit his hungover. McNabb with his hungover ass. Yes, that guy. That was an embarrassment. I could go on a rant about that, but I'm not going to. So, guys, let's choose our video games now. So, first row, we have Super Mario, Pokemon, The Legend of Zelda, Metroid, and Animal Crossing. Second row, we have Kirby, Yoshi, Splatoon, Sonic the Hedgehog, Fire Emblem. Then you have Mega Man, Xenoblade Chronicles. Then you have Donkey Kong, Super Smash Brothers, Resident Evil, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat. You guys can basically see all the ones that we have. There's a lot of good choices. I think I'm going to go with Pokemon. I'm going with Super Mario, Pokemon.
Or are you saying column rather than row?
Oh, okay. Or we could do, Super Mario, Pokemon, Zelda, GTA, and Super Smash Brothers. Those are my picks.
I'll go Resident Evil, Pokemon, Mortal Kombat, Sonic.
I knew you were going to choose Mortal Kombat.
And Super Smash Brothers.
Okay.
Going, let's say Metal Gear, but screw that Metal Gear Nintendo. What a waste of time. So I'm going Mario, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Grand Theft Auto, and...
I know, Eric. It's just because I want everyone to be able to see all the video games choices.
I don't care about any of those ones in the last. Super Smash Brothers, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm fighting anyone that says Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing is like, yeah, I could never get into that.
If y'all put James Bond on there, I would have put James Bond.
Oh, if GoldenEye was there, that was one of my picks for sure.
GoldenEye.
Well, you get all the video games and all the franchises. So, for example, if you pick GTA, then you would obviously get Vice City. You would also get every GTA game, San Andreas, which is the ones that have the most memories of playing. Because I remember literally being a kid when I had my PS2, and I would go in the computer lab in the morning, and I would just print out pages of the cheat codes, and then I would go home.
Great way.
I would use the cheat codes to get all the weapons and all the the money and the cards and all the stuff. And then
islands.
The other thing I want to bring up in regards to video games, just in general, nobody of today, none of the kids of today will understand how much it was a struggle if you did not have a memory card. Like I can remember having my PS2, and I would just like leave it on for like days at a time. Days at a time.
I was saving at every junction, left and right. I was saving at every junction.
Oh damn! I didn't know he died. That's crazy.
Pretty cool.
R.I.P. Tommy.
They feel like they don't weigh enough.
Hey, yo, who had the OG Game Shark? Oh yeah, Game Shark. That was like how you could get cheat codes for like on GBA.
Oh, I thought it was the thing that
Game Shark was like a magazine, wasn't it? Wait, what am I? No.
Shout out to Pokemon for making Pokemon.
I'm getting Game Shark and Game
to get all of the starting Pokemon without trading. Well, trading with other players.
That was why it was fun though. Like your friends could help you get all the Pokemon. That's why they make 2 versions of the game. That's why there was like red and blue and silver and crystal, or silver and gold.
I still have Pokemon Crystal and Silver here.
Hold on, let me see. I still have Pokemon. Hold on, let me see what I have.
There you go.
Sorry.
So I have Heart Gold for the Nintendo DS, which was the remake of Pokemon Gold. Fire remake. It was great. It was nostalgic. And I also have Platinum version. Both games are fire. But yeah, I was definitely playing. You also didn't know the struggle of playing on your Game Boy on like a school night, and then you had to hide it under your pillow. So if your mom or somebody was coming to check on you, and then they leave, and you go back to playing, man. That was the great memories for me.
We was up playing the game knowing dang well we should have been asleep. That's what.
Yeah, I was grinding for the Elite Four though. I had to get my levels up.
Oh, you remember like when you had to go right before the Elite Four? I used to train before I used to go. And I remember people, if you train your Pokemon to get to level 60 as opposed to rare candying that joint to level 60, that level 60 Pokemon is 10 times stronger than the one that is done with the rare candy.
Man, who the hell was putting 99 rare candies to get a level 100?
That's why
if you do that, you're a scrub.
No,
you're a scrub.
I only put the rare candy so I can make sure I evolve the Pokemon to get my Pokedex. But my best Pokemon that I trained, they were not rare candied up. They were all trained to be the best.
Also, when I played Pokemon, like the original games, I don't know if anybody else was like this, but like my starter Pokemon will always be like 50 levels higher than like the rest of my team.
No.
I'll have like a level 70 Charizard and then like a level 20 something.
I'll see. That's not all. Mine was all within 10. Like my starting, but my lineups were always the same for the first 3. But my starting Pokemon was always the same. Like on the yellow, green, blue,
Ruby and Sapphire was fire.
Yellow, green, blue, and yellow, green, blue, red, and green. I had my starting Pokemon was always Pidgeot, and then on Silver, Gold, and Crystal, my starting Pokemon at the Elite Four was always Ampharos.
So Jay was the wants to know, like, what do we think is the wackest Nintendo system? You mean in terms of like which one's the worst?
That god dang on GameCube.
Man, shut up. The GameCube was not the worst. It definitely wasn't the worst.
It kind of was.
Then you must have never played a Wii U before, because that shit was trash. That shit was like, it was like supposed to be a Wii, but it's weird to explain. Like the controller was like the size of a ginormous tablet. It was terrible. It was the worst. Like, hold on, let me see if I can pull up a picture of it. It was like called a gamepad or something.
What a beautiful.
Okay, I'm about to show you. By the way, guys, if you guys are still in the chat, please do me a favor, leave a like on the stream. It would really help us out a whole lot. So let me see here.
Internationally known on the microphone.
Damn it. Wii U.
It's all good.
In the meantime, drop your top 5 video games of all time in the comment section.
I'm trying to tell y'all we should do that. Who is the best player, athlete turned actor or actress? You got The Rock.
Damn, that's a good one.
You've got The Rock. You've got Goldberg, who tried to go into acting. You've got a couple people. Ronda Rousey got into acting. I honestly think that The Rock might take that. I think The Rock has been the one that's been able to transition into acting and be, if not bigger than what he was in wrestling.
That's literally the controller of the Wii U. Terrible.
I never played that game before.
It's relatively new. This is what they had before the Switch. The Switch is much better. It's portable.
There you go.
It sucks.
Well, it's all good, though.
Okay. Wii was the worst one. I have one, but only for emulators. I don't have one Wii game for that mug. The GOAT Nintendo system was Super Nintendo. I can see it. I can see it. But I'm rocking with the 64 on that one. Top 5 of all time. Street Fighter 2, Tecmo Bowl, NBA Jam, Mortal Kombat, Mega Man 2. Crash Bandicoot, GTA, Super Mario, Tony Hawk, and Metal Gear Solid. Okay. That's like, those are some good choices. Those are some good choices. But we're kind of getting to the end of the show here, guys. I want to thank everybody for watching, for wherever you guys are watching. Thank you guys for supporting the channel. Please subscribe if you're new. Like I said, I'm always trying to work and grind so I can get to 2,000 subscribers. I'm almost to 1,600. I think I'm 10 away. So if by any chance there are any new people in the chat, please hit that subscribe button. It's completely free. You guys can catch us back here on Saturday nights, where we will be talking everything that you need to go in the NFL and having a little bit of fun like we just did with our non-sports topics. So with that being said, guys, we will see you next time.
Shout out to everybody. Shout out to the teams, Sideline Sports, Gauntlet, Jay, Dom. Jay, get well. We see you when you get back. James, thanks as always. Dom, thank you for coming on, man. We all have a great weekend.
All right, we'll see you.